Hey, what's going on everyone? Nick here. Welcome to this video that's going to be all about design theory and creating designs that sell. And in this video, I'm really going to be talking about designs. Now, there is going to be a focus on t-shirts, of course, because most people are getting into custom merchandise thinking of a t-shirt business. But in all reality, it's a lot more than just shirts. All right, I have a background as a graphic designer and an artist. Really, I've been an artist from a very young age, so I've always studied it. And it's always been something that I've been fascinated by, just learning how to design, learning what goes into a great design, because there's a difference between just designing something and designing something that sells, or designing something that people like. And that stretches across all mediums, whether it's a t-shirt, whether it's a tote bag, whether you're just designing a poster for somebody, or you're creating a logo for somebody, whatever it may be. The theory of design and creating a design that gets engagement and that people enjoy is definitely a learned practice. All right, now some of you may be going into this already knowing or thinking that you're going to be outsourcing all of your designs to other people, and that's fine, absolutely, but it's still really important for you to understand the concepts of great design. Because otherwise, how are you going to know who's a good designer for you? How are you going to know if your designs are worth any money? How are you going to know if you are investing in designs because no matter what, the designs that you want created, you go out and you find a graphic designer. Believe me, I've had people contact me to create designs for them before, and there's still a large disconnect there between you as a human being with what idea you have in your head and the designer with the skill set to create something. All right, the designer has the skill set, but they don't necessarily have the vision or the idea. And so you still have to be able to come to them with a solid idea and outline and understanding of what you want that design to look like for them to be able to create it. Honestly, the better job you do at translating your ideas in your head to paper is going to be the better result that you get from a talented designer, all right? Because a talented designer will have their own flair and style and things that they do, but again, they're only going to be as good as the idea that you give them, all right? Because we're creating designs not for a portfolio, not for just to have and the store somewhere. We're creating designs that we want to sell. And so there's definitely some specific things that really go into that. Now, in the last video, just as a recap, hold on a second. In the last video, just as a recap, what we already talked about are concepts that sell. Okay, so remember that, because it's two different parts. You have to come up with the concept, the idea that's going to be something and here's a really good example. All right, when I first got started in the t-shirt game. Actually, I'm going to show you this. Let me pause the video and show you this. Okay, we're back, and I'm on my Facebook page because I wanted to pull up some past pictures. I told you, well, some of you I may have told, some of you maybe not. When I first got started as an entrepreneur, it was all about design for me. These are all, I was an artist. I was big on drawing and art, and I started like a graphic design / t-shirt company where I was basically trying to take my art, a sort of street style of art that I had developed, and market that and sell that. You can see here some custom hats I made and some shirts, and I didn't have a Facebook following at all back then, so it's like none of these pictures really have any attention, but because I didn't understand online marketing. We're going back years now, but I wanted to show you some of this stuff because I want to show you the designs, because these are all designs that sold. All right, so this is a design, you can see 2014. One of the places that I started was creating a Phillies design. All right, it was very simple, and it was just an American Apparel shirt, and I took a Phillies logo and I just put the word represent on it. But again, so the concept here was selling based on something people were passionate about, taking an old school logo and then blending it with like a sense of pride in the city. And so that's a shirt that I designed a while back. This was a shirt that somebody posted. You can see we're going back a while here, 2013. This was a shirt that I did. I actually designed this banner in the background as well for an event that we were doing. And this was a shirt, a Liberty Bell shirt that I made. Again, this is when I was living in Philadelphia. And you can see I've worn this shirt a lot. This is in a lot of my pictures. This is one. It says Exodus. You can barely see it. Exodus Clothing was the name of the first company that I started way back in the day. And I still have a ton of the shirts that I made. In fact, they're really kind of the only T-shirts that I wear, or cutoffs that I've turned them into. And this was a shirt that said, "We write our own future." And it's kind of hard to see the design in this picture, but again, I'm showing it to you because I want you to see just some preface into what we go into and talking about designs and just talking about, concepts that sell. This was based on the idea of my generation and just being proud and we write our own future. Like, you can kind of get it right from the message. This was a pretty popular shirt. Again, I didn't know anything about online marketing back then. I was just selling these within the community, going to events and trunk shows, and that was kind of the popular thing back then. Johnny Cupcakes, it started like this idea of going to trunk shows and selling shirts. And so again, I'm just showing you some examples of stuff that I've done in the past before we move forward. This was the best selling shirt that I ever made. Now, it's funny because we're going way back here. There's only one like on this. I had like maybe 200 Facebook friends back at this time. None of that matters though, because within Philadelphia, even though nobody knew who I was, we sold hundreds of these shirts to a lot of different people, and it was all based on my design. All right. And what I want to point out here is, again, just the idea of what I was talking about and getting into this is that you still need to know your niche. You need to know what you're trying to sell. Now, I've sold a lot of shirts since then, especially since getting into Shopify, selling them based on different ideas, and we'll cover some stuff as we move forward. But, the purpose of this is to show that this was a very specific intention in this. It says Philadelphia. It's a very street design graffiti, and then I kept it going where my skyline drawing in the back, and I sold this based on people that lived in Philadelphia, and we were able to sell a lot of them based on the pride of Philadelphia. So if we look at this list here, then you see, getting to know the niche. What I targeted was the sense of pride with this. All right, I did a sense of pride. Feel like this shirt was made for them. Absolutely. Are they going to connect with it on an emotional level? Absolutely. They live there. They feel like it was made for them because it describes their city. It's meant to have a sense of pride in the city. And then will they get excited about it? Yes, because it's a design unlike anything that they've seen before. All right, I drew something completely unique and original, and I still to this day get compliments on this shirt. I still to this day get compliments on that We Write Our Own Future shirt. On the cruise, I got compliments not only at the islands that we stopped at, but also on the cruise boat. I had at least one person stop me and say, "Hey man, that's a cool shirt." So that's kind of the concept here of creating designs that are different, designs that sell. Now, as you're going to see, designs can be really simple. It doesn't have to be something drawn out like this. But again, I'm just showing you from my experience what I know. All right, and then just kind of outlining it. Nowadays, concepts that work have really gotten into some of the gimmicky stuff with sexual innuendo and wordplay and jokes and all of that stuff. Pride has always been a concept that sells. Great artwork has always been a concept that sells. But originally, okay, so that was one of the examples that I wanted to show you. So I had shown you before this, like this Philadelphia shirt really sold very well because of the concept, because it really connected with people on something that they were proud about. That We Write Our Own Future shirt didn't sell nearly as many copies, even though the design was still really good, and I was able to sell to people based on the design being good and the message. The overall concept of the shirt just didn't connect with as many people, so it was more of an uphill battle, where selling this Philadelphia shirt was just so easy to connect with. My only barrier to entry here is whether or not people like this style of artwork, because not everybody does, and that's okay. That's what t-shirt design is all about, finding a niche and an audience that's not only going to appreciate the message, but they're going to appreciate the design. All right, and that's, I guess, really where I'm going with this, is that they're both equally as important. All right, this shirt, even people that like Philadelphia, I had a few friends, actually a few girls that were friends of mine that really liked Philadelphia, but they didn't really connect with the graffiti style. And they said, Nick, you should make a shirt that's not, where the Philadelphia is spelled out or it's typed out in a different way. And I just, I never wanted to do that because this was meant to go for an audience that likes this. I'm from Philadelphia. I'm proud of it. Philadelphia's got that street kind of vibe, and we're proud of it. And so that's what this was always meant to be. But even though the concept connected on a level with anybody from Philadelphia, the design didn't connect on a level with everybody. All right, so both of those things have to go hand in hand to make the sale, and that's really what I'm getting at. Just like with the shirt that I made here, some people may connect with the design and say that's a really cool design, the typography, the feather, and you can't really see it there. Let me see if I can show you a better example. I'm not going to spend too much more time on this, but I just want to kind of get to the example here that I'm trying to make. You can see I wear this shirt a lot. It's one of my favorites. So, you can see the feather that turns into the right and own future. Like, it's all typography. And it gets a lot of compliments, and a lot of people like the design of this shirt. But a lot of people don't necessarily connect with the message because that may not be how they live their life or exactly how they define their values. But for me, that is exactly that. And I was able to find an audience of people when I sold this that do connect with those types of values and wanted this shirt. But it didn't sell as big as the Philadelphia shirt because it didn't connect on the same concept, which then goes back even further to looking at, it's loading slow now. But if you remember that first one that I showed you, that Philadelphia one that I was in, that connected even more with people. A lot of people really like that because it was very simple, and it still played on the Philadelphia pride. But at the same time, I think that one was in photos. Oh, Facebook's freezing up now, but you get it. It was less. It didn't involve the graffiti, so it appealed to a larger audience, still on that basic concept. All right, and so that's really, that's kind of a breakdown of just looking at why it matters on both levels. You need to have your concept down. You need to know your niche and what the concept of the shirt is going to be. These are all winning concept ideas. A lot of them are very gimmicky, but hey, people like gimmicks nowadays, and this stuff works. So, you don't want to be caught as one of those people on either side of the fence where, some people like myself, it took me a while because I really understood quality design and good artwork. But for a long time, I didn't understand that you have to have a gimmicky concept to sell it online as well. Like, just good quality design doesn't necessarily get you sales because that's not enough. People need to relate to the design on a concept that works. And on the flip side of that, just good concepts alone are not going to get you a sale. Your concept has to be on point, but the design also has to connect with the buyer, all right? And that doesn't necessarily mean your design has to be extremely elaborate, but your design does have to be good. And as you'll see in a minute when we look at some simple designs, they're still good because they follow the quality design theories, okay? And I have a lot of resources that I want to share with you. Actually, going back to something that I have from when I got started. This is not a resource. I don't think you can even find this resource anymore. It was a graphic novel book that was written by one of the most successful t-shirt designers in the game at the time, a few years back, way before the revolution of all this Teespring stuff. But the point is that the fundamentals of good shirt design still apply, and this is a really special resource that I'm going to be able to walk you through. And again, one of the reasons why, even though I may not be let's not say even though I'm not the biggest t-shirt design seller out there by any means at all, but that doesn't mean that I can't share with you everything that I know works and will help point you in the right direction. Because, to be honest with you, the custom merchandise industry, the margins aren't all that sexy, and so it's hard for me to stay motivated in making t-shirts because it's just a lot of work. It has a lot of benefits and advantages, but the margins are just thinner than drop shipping or creating your own products. So, but at the same time, I still understand and still have a lot of resources and valuable insight that I can share with you that's allowed me to sell hundreds to thousands of shirt designs in the past couple years. and also just allowed me to be a successful artist and graphic designer. I've worked on a lot of projects. I've designed a lot of different stuff. And again, it's not necessarily where my business is based and what I'm trying to scale into $1 million business. I decided a long time ago I have more of a passion for designing businesses than I do for artwork. But I know the stuff that I can share with you and help you be successful and help you understand this at a higher level, okay? So another place that we're going to start with is just going back to Teespring. And we're just going to find a successful niche and take a look here. Fishing is huge. All right, so when we come in here, you can see the difference between some of the designs. This is a more elaborate type of design. There's color in it, there's a lot of lines, there's different typography, there's different design elements that are inside of it. Same thing with this. Somebody actually had to draw this out and design this, so it's a little bit more complicated than something like this. Something like this you could simply put together off Google. You could download an icon of a hook and then you can do this in basic typography in Photoshop. Like, we could recreate this design right now, and I guess let's show you how simple it really is. So while that's loading, one of the places that you can go, oh, I didn't mean Google Flights. That's one of my most, it's right in the history. All right, and now everything's gonna freeze because I look for vacations so much. All right, so if we just go to google.com and we come in here, then we can type in, I do this all the time, man. This is such a great way. You don't want to steal stuff that's not yours, but at the same time, a lot of this stuff is just free resource out there by massive companies, and you can find what you need. Right here, we already found it. Right here's another one. Okay, and it may not look exactly like it, like that's pretty much exactly it, huh? All we would have to do is stretch it out. So let me show you how this goes. All right, now, one of the elements of design is that it has to be high resolution and it has to be large enough. So if you're designing your own shirts or if you're having somebody design for you, you need to know the custom dimensions from which you can get started. All right, so the width in which you can get started with T-Launch is 2400 pixels. All right, I'll explain this more in a second. Usually I start out with a square, 2400 by 2400. Okay, and then your resolution is pixels per inch. All right, this works just like a TV screen resolution, just like a laptop resolution. Pixels are basically, if you look at the entire width or height of this surface, every single piece of it is a pixel. All right, pixels are like the little micro dots that make up the whole image. All right, and so however many you set it to be wide or high, that's how big your canvas is going to be. And then your resolution is how many pixels you want to pack per inch of that canvas. All right, the higher your resolution, the larger file size you're going to have, which can be trouble uploading sometimes. If it's a really large file with a lot of colors and a lot of detail, that can become a really cumbersome file to have to transport or to load. But usually where you want to be is 300 pixels per inch. All right, and that gives you a quality high resolution that translates well to printing. Okay, because the whole idea of designing shirts and quality design theory is that we're designing for print. So it has to look good on the computer screen, but the computer screen is always going to be smaller than the printing surface in real life. So you want to design at a high resolution in order that when it's actually translated to print, that it's going to come out clear and quality design printing, okay? And so then you'll create the image and you'll get something like this. All right. So basically what that means, I'll just show you, in case for people that are brand new. If you're not brand new, just bear with me for 1 second so we can show people this. All right, so if I just make a simple square here, and then I zoom in on this to the farthest amount possible, this is a pixel. right here. Now you can see I'm zoomed in at 3200%, but I just want to show you the concept of what exactly a pixel means and what dots per square inch mean. So this is a pixel, and the amount of pixels across and up and down is what we set it to be. All right, so when we zoom all the way back out and we look at this entire canvas, there's 2400 of those pixels going this way and 2400 this way. And if you take any square inch here, like you can see, it tells me in inches, if I can get it to 1 inch. Ooh, close. Close enough. If you take any square inch here and you fill that in, and now we zoom in on that, basically what we've said is for this square inch, we want it to have 300 pixels in here. All right, and so the more pixels you have, obviously, the more of these little dots, the more detailed it is, but also the larger the file size because it's more information to store. All right, so I hope that makes sense. I just wanted to clarify what that is. Therefore, if you only had a canvas where you made the whole thing 72 pixels per square inch, there would be a lot less pixels in here, less than half of the amount of pixels. So the file would be smaller, but when you go to blow that image up on an actual shirt and print it, it's going to be less quality. It's going to be more pixelated. All right, that's where the term pixelated comes from. Okay, so that's everything I wanted to show you there, to just kind of understand, just understanding the theory behind design, or not design, but the theory behind pixels and creating your design. So whatever your platform is will tell you how large it needs to be, and then whoever you get to design it, you need to give them that standard. We looked at this already in T-Launch, I think, once, but let's come back here and look again. So when you look at any shirt in here and you go to start designing, you can see that it tells you here the image must be at least 2400 pixels wide. All right, and then basically when I go to upload that image to my shirt and stretch it out, like you can see here when it comes in, like let's just choose a random file, for example, this Ecom Empires one, too small. It's not big enough, so it can't even upload. So let me go back to this and go to Shopify, go to Daily Dose of Hustle, go to shirt designs, and go to one of my shirt designs. So you can see the way that this was designed is not the total print size. So if I want to be able to stretch this out to cover the whole shirt, which people like big print shirts, then I need to make sure that the pixel resolution of this is detailed enough, which 300 pixels per inch is detailed enough to fill this and be blown up on that shirt so that when it prints, it's actually going to have straight, crisp, clear lines that aren't pixelated or blurry, okay? So that's the idea there behind just design for printing, okay? That's where we're starting at. It needs to be high resolution, design for printing, okay? So that's what we're talking about with high resolution and pixels. Hopefully that was a good explanation into how all that works. Now, design needs to be in layers. That's the other part of a design that we're going to look at. But first, let me get back to the original point here. So now we have found our image and we can place it right on here, our fishing hook. Okay, so it's big enough to fill the area, but we don't need it that big. We're going to stretch it out and try to make it look similar to what we saw. Now, again, I could spend more time on this if I needed to, but where's that shirt? It's thin. Theirs is thin, so ours might not be as thin. But we can do our best to just get an example here. And obviously you saw there's a lot of hooks that I could have chosen from. Alright, so now here's the way that this works. I'm going to design this and then I'm going to show you what I mean by design in layers. Okay, so now I'm going to take a text file and I'm going to write the top part. Okay, Now that's obviously not the right font, so that's just a matter of finding the right font in here, and I want to find something that's similar cursive to what they used. And that may take some practice, or some experimenting, I mean, to find something that looks like what they used. There's this thin, large brush strokes, kind of like stretched out, so that's not the same at all. So let's keep looking. Now if you have Photoshop, it'll come with its own set of fonts in here like this, and you can see, you can scroll through and see examples of what it looks like to use those fonts when you have the word highlighted. Typography is really important. The act of using a font as a design, okay, the act of using a font and writing out words and turning them into a design is what typography is. And it's really important because it's basically what sells shirts nowadays. Alright, this is similar, okay? It's not quite the same. Well, not really even close actually, but similar enough in its structure and style that for now I think we can get away with it. Now I don't necessarily, oh well, maybe I do, I don't know. I don't necessarily like the way that it's choppy around the edges, but again, I'm just trying to show you an example. Now, when it comes to typography, our friend Google here, again, can help us find exactly what we need. You can come here and type in cursive font downloads, right? And you'll see these are some of the most popular ones: FontSpace, 1001fonts.com, and DaFont. Usually, I don't see that on here. Urban Fonts. There's another site called dafont.com with a DA. That's why I'm pronouncing it like that. But anyway, you know, you can come in here and you can go to FontSpace and look at all these fonts you can have. So I could download something different like this. I'll show you how this works. I'm giving you guys the full tutorial here. That's what this is all about, design. All right, there's going to be a lot of information, but you know, it's really going to be helpful to you. So just follow along and pause and watch back what you need to watch back. Okay, so if I wanted to download this font, I'd come here to download. This is all free open source stuff. All right, and then I'll show you how this actually works. Okay. Alright, so the font will download as a zip file, okay, which is just a compressed file. Oh shoot, this is a new computer, I guess I forgot, but you can always open it with Windows Explorer usually. There you go. And then this right here, the TrueType font file, is what you're looking for. Okay, so you'll come in here, it'll usually look like this. Let me make that on large icons. It'll be one that looks like this if you're using Windows. It should be like that if you're using Mac as well. And it'll be the one that looks like this piece of vertical or horizontal paper being folded with an actual A on it. Okay, so you'll take that piece alone, and you'll just, this is how I do it. You'll put it on your desktop. Oh, paste. All right, and now what you need to do is open up your control panel. Again, this is how it works on whatever your control panel is on Mac, same thing. And then you'll find your appearance and personalization, and then you see fonts right here. Okay, this is where you install system fonts. So then I'll come here and I'll install this font. Remember what it's called so you can look it up later. It's the Messenger Pigeons font. And then I'll come in here, and now that quickly Photoshop or any program, Microsoft Word, whatever you use, will have loaded that by name right here. Okay, so I'm actually going to use that font because I think that works a lot better, right? And then I'm going to turn it. And I can turn it by, I know you can't necessarily see all of what I'm pressing on my keys, but when you select the layer over here, the text layer, you'll go to I know the shortcut key, but I don't know where it is on here. You'll go up here to edit, transform, okay? And when you do edit and transform, what this does, it allows you to scale, or whatever you do, and it also allows you to turn it if you need to. Okay, so when you see that little arrow on the side there, that means you can turn what you're doing. So we're going to turn it to match what they did on theirs. All right. And then they used Catch, and then they did the same exact font for Fishes. Okay, so Catch is in a small print font, and then Fishes. So first what we'll do is we'll duplicate this layer, and then from here we'll select it. So there's a lot of functions. This isn't going to be a Photoshop tutorial, but I can do one of those later if people use Photoshop and need one. So you'll select that layer, and then you'll move it down here. You'll open it up, and then you'll change the word to Fishes, of course. Kind of angle it a little bit. And now we'll take our text tool over here, and we'll write in the word Catch with a different font. Now this one we saw was like just a normal like serif font, which is just a term for fonts that have like that type of look. Tell you the truth, I don't know all the terms for fonts. I mean, I haven't studied it to that level. There we go, something like that. But I do know, you're just going by the different looks. So there's that, and now you can change things a little bit. You can make that wider if you want to. Like we can stretch it out a little bit, and then turn that down. And then again, same thing, we'll just stretch it with our transform feature a little bit. Alright, now this isn't my design. I'm not necessarily saying that this is a great design. It's just an easy one to duplicate and show you how they did it. Alright, and that would essentially be our design. Now we can crop it up, because it only needs to be 2400 pixels wide, not 2400 pixels tall. And so now we have our design, all right? But when you design shirts, so the next part is you design in layers, all right? And basically every color is a layer. All right, so if you want a color printed, you have to have it as a layer. Now, it doesn't necessarily, I mean, with direct-to-garment printing like T-Launch, they can basically just take whatever image that you have and print it, but I'm giving you the correct way to do it. All right, so you don't want the background. That's why the background is a separate layer. You want a background to be able to see what it looks like on whatever color shirt you plan on designing, but once you're done, you're going to turn that layer off, and you should just see like this clear transparent background. And now we see we have to get rid of the background surrounding this, okay, this image that we brought in. So you'll select that, and then you'll use your wand selection tool here to select the white space and delete it. Okay, now we have a full image. All right, now we can save it like this now, and everything that's in black will get printed like this, all right, because it's direct to garment. If we were doing a screen printing shirt, then you would want to have separate layers for each color. So typically what I do when a shirt's done is I'll take all the colors and merge them into one layer. So let's say we wanted to do this in a different color, right? We wanted to do it in pink. Okay, and that's the way we wanted to design this. All right, what I would end up doing is it's a text layer, so you rasterize the type, and that basically just turns it into a layer, and then you can merge these down, right? So I merge that down, and I merge that down. Now I have one layer that contains all of my black print. And then I have this layer that contains all of my, I'll rasterize that too, this layer that contains all of my purple, pink, whatever you want to call that print. Okay, it's more of a magenta, I think. So that keeps your layers separate, and then when you save it, it'll save it all as one file. But this way, if you're working with a print team, if you're working with a designer specifically, and you need to keep your colors separate by layers, that's how you do it. And that makes it easy so that if you wanted to come in here and change this layer or move it, you could do whatever you needed to with this layer alone, because you could come in and do like this, and you could do a color overlay and change the color if you wanted to, very simply, because it's its own layer. So all you have to do is just worry about changing that color in that layer if you need to. Alright, so that's how that looks. And then when you're done, basically what you want to do is save it as a PNG file. And I'll show you what that means. You'll get options for saving. You want to do a PNG file because a PNG is a transparent background file. That is the main differentiation in a PNG file. And then you would name it whatever your design is, and then save. Alright? So what that allows you to do now is when you're ready to come over here and upload your t-shirt design, now it can't go on a black shirt. We designed this for a white shirt. So you would choose that file. Right here is a PNG file. The background is transparent, so you're ready to go and put that on a shirt. Okay? And that's how simple creating a design can be when you're doing it on your own in Photoshop. Same thing for when you hired a designer. They're going to do the same exact thing, and they're just going to deliver you this finished piece. All right, so that's what it looks like, and that's how you can easily reverse engineer any shirt that you find that's just something simple. Now, something like these are not fonts that you can just find. These are fonts that somebody created and are probably just part of their personal design arsenal. You know, this is stuff that they probably drew. There's a lot of tips and tricks that graphic designers have to be able to create designs on the fly, but they're not necessarily sharing this stuff open source out there on Google. So you're not going to be able to find that fish in that look, in that color. You're not going to be able to find this banner here and this exact font. You may be able to find similar stuff, but you know, it's not going to be exact. And so you can see the difference, that there are simple designs and there are complex designs, but it doesn't necessarily matter. All right, there are very simple designs. Let's go to the one that I showed you that I know sold crazy. It was the family one, right? You've probably seen this shirt before. None of these are the actual one that I'm referring to, but a lot of them are the Papa ones that I was talking about. Like, oh, you know what? There was one that I saw. That Best Papa Ever reminds me of the Best Dad Ever shirt that I saw. You guys have probably seen this shirt before, some of you. It looked very similar to this. I don't know if this is the exact one or not, but somebody came out with this shirt originally back in the day. This may not be the one, but it sold a lot. It sold a lot of copies. So simple. But the concept worked. All right. The concept and the typography worked. So you don't want to ever discredit the fact that choosing the certain font works. Look at all the Nike shirts out there, right? The Nike shirts that sell. Now, they sell because they're Nike, but at the same time, this font style that they developed is basically something that became like a phenomenon, really, because not only Nike does it now, but everybody does it, and everybody has kind of picked up and taken this trend and tried to run with it, with this just bold font, you know, add one period at the end of words to like make a word a statement, and that's it. You know, just one big bold font. And this is actually a font that you can get. A lot of times what you can do is you can try to go to Google and type in like Nike shirt font and see what comes up. You know, you might get somebody, here's thefont.com. You'll get somebody that tells you the answer, and then you can go and look for the font. Yeah, Futura Bold, I've looked this up before. Futura Bold is what I think that Nike uses for most of these types of shirts. And then you can take the same concept and try to apply it to what you do as well, especially if you have a shirt that, or a design or a brand that's based a lot on typography, like Nike. Nike's based on a lot of typography because they're about a concept. They're about the values that their brand represents, and so they just print those phrases on shirts, and it's worked very well for them because they can come up with numerous phrases. essentially the same type of thing in a lot of similar ways that I want to do with my brand, and just be able to come up with a lot of different phrases. But both things need to work. Like, you need to build the brand at the same time. Obviously, these may not necessarily work as well for just some Joe Schmo out there trying to sell shirts. These work because they're Nike shirts and they have the Nike logo on them. So, when you build a brand and a concept that represents a value like that, you can start just making these types of prints. And you can do that right now as well. Like with Teespring, you'll notice a lot of shirts that are like that when you go through. Animals is probably one that has a lot like that. People that talk about, things like this. I told you that I know the person that started this. You may know him as well. He's got a very popular and growing Facebook group on Shopify and e-commerce, and they printed a bunch of these, and they sold a lot of them, and then it got copied over and over again. But basically, it's just a statement, all right? But the concept works, and people relate to it. And because it's about their animal, they really relate to it. They don't care what the brand is because they know that it's a message that represents them. But don't underestimate the value and simplicity of a design that works, all right? The font that they chose, the way that they made the top word capital and biggest to represent the animal, and then they layered different sizes of the same font from there down to make it like dogs make me happy, you not so much. And it's just very simple, it's centered, it's structured, it's balanced. Like, that is all stuff we're going to talk about here in the rest of the video, of ways that, if the concept works, then this can work as well. But you got to realize that it still has to be a good design, and a good design can be very simple, but that doesn't mean it's not a good design, all right? And so here's another one of a very simple design that we could copy right now by going to Google and finding simple icons of a wine glass, simple icons of a dog. I don't know if this specific one is selling because it may be a copycat at this point. This design came out a while ago, but it really works well because you're taking two interests. Remember, we may have talked about this in the last video even. You're taking those two interests and combining them, wine and dogs. So you're combining all of that together in a shirt here. Very simple font, very simple composition, but it's still balanced and it still works. You can see that they changed the font size from bottom to top. They bold the words drink wine with an icon on top of it, filling in this blank space here. And then they put a pet here, filling in this blank space next to that. Like, the way that it's structured, I don't like a lot of blank space. I like things to be balanced and composed and equal. And that's what you're seeing here. All right, and that's what a lot of people miss when they try to design shirts that are just all about typography. I don't know if we'll find a bad one here, just trying to look through, because I think they generally show the top selling shirts at the top of the list. But, so here's another one of a good example. Let's look at this, because this is another good example too. Again, I don't know how many shirts this sold because I don't know if their concept is on point here, but their composition is definitely on point, right? That, they are balancing things from top to bottom in a way that's not overloading, it's not overbearing. The font that they chose is very legible from a distance. They're able to fit all these words in here, separate it with these red lines that highlight, hunting is my drug. I go hunting, don't judge me. Like, that's just what goes into being able to use typography and create a good design. All right. Over 1,000 sold. Here's a good example as well. So simple. All I care about is hunting and like maybe 3 people and beer. Now, this again was something that was taken and duplicated across a lot of different niches because people saw it and they copied it, and you could interchange this word and this word down here with almost anything. But look how simple the design is. It's just text. That's it. But again, we're looking at it as a design and saying that's so simple, but they had the the idea to curve the text at the top, to make this the main center primary word, and then fit this underneath, and then, make this even smaller, right? Like, so you kind of get a story and a message from the way that the text is laid out, and you get a good balance and a composition. It looks like a design in the way that they set it up, even though all it is text, all right? And you can see the middle text that they use for the word hunting actually has like some distressed grunge kind of print to it. So again, all of those subtleties go into creating a good design, and that's what I want to go over here for the rest of it. That's enough examples. Now I want to just kind of give you some practical elements of what go into this and share some resources, okay? Teespring is a good resource, number one, to look at. Another good resource where you're going to find a lot of people that really know what they're doing when it comes to design is designbyhumans.com. Now, this isn't really as, well, I guess I shouldn't say that. I don't know if it's as popular for selling on Facebook because I think they have their own community and their own ways of advertising within their community. I'm not sure that they advertise on Facebook, but I don't know. I just know that it's not one of the ones that you normally hear, and so I hope you guys find this as a really valuable resource because most of you have probably never heard of Design by Humans. All right, and they have a lot of great designers, and they have a lot of they have all the niches in here, and they're able to sell licensed stuff, so that's why they can have featured brands and they can do all this. And but you can come in here and let's take a look at best selling. You can see the difference and the concept. Now, a lot of these may be difficult to target, okay? I'm not saying that because obviously targeting a question, that's a mystery. I don't know what that is, but targeting like something like this or something like this, that may be difficult to target on Facebook, and maybe that's why they don't do it. They have their own brand and their own community of, a lot of people that visit this site and purchase from within, okay? And they're designers that just upload their stuff. Now, once you build a brand, that's when you can sell this kind of stuff to your audience because you've already built a brand and a following. But all I'm showing you this for is to give you ideas of good design, okay? These are all really good designs, and they just help you understand. And one of the first things that I want to draw your attention to, I think it's one of the most important factors of good design that so many people miss, and that's designing based on balance and composition, okay? Let me rephrase that. Your composition, all right, whatever your image is, your design is, it needs to be balanced and have a feeling of equal from left to right and top to bottom. If you notice all of these images, you just have that quality to them that they're balanced. There's not like one particular spot that has a lot of empty space or that feels off-centered or that feels misbalanced. Like everything is equally distributed well within the design. And that's something that takes some practice and some time to come up with and to really master in the harness. But you can get a good idea of how it works by looking at other designs and how they work. Now, here's a great example of a design that is actually balanced in a different way, right? There is some dead space right here, but the way that they've done it, you can look at it was intentional in how they designed it. It's all the way across the chest, and then there's like this here, and it works. It definitely works in that area. So again, I'm just showing you this to show you some places that you can come and get some really good. Here's a skull made out of kittens. That's so awesome. Here's a really great design called Duality. You can look at this stuff and see that these are talented designers, and they give you a good idea. This house cat could probably sell very well in the EDM niche. Some of these you could market on Facebook for sure, and maybe the designers do. Muppet Science, that's so cool. Anyway, I don't want to get like, because you can come here yourself and look at this stuff, so I don't want to get lost. I mean, as an artist, I love this. I could probably sit here for an hour and just look at designs. But, so this gives you an idea just by being able to look and see just what goes into a good design, okay, and what goes into good composition and good balance across a design. Because ultimately, as you see here, one of the main fundamentals of good shirt design is asking that age-old question, would you wear it yourself? All right, and again, this is something that we've already talked about, but a lot of people miss this. Like, we're just out here throwing designs together and putting them on Facebook and thinking that because we picked a niche and we picked a design, somebody's going to buy it. But you always want to look at, would somebody, would I actually wear this myself, right? And that's why, like, for Daily Dose of Hustle, even though I haven't really run too many ads, I've tested a little bit here and there, and this game really comes down to testing a lot of designs, so I haven't nearly done my due diligence yet testing a lot of designs. I've really only tested 2 or 3. I would wear any one of the shirts that I've designed, and so, like, you always want to be coming from that perspective. Even if it's not going to be a winning shirt design, you still want it to be, like, it doesn't have any place in your store if you wouldn't wear it. Okay. And if you're designing for a niche that's not you, just think of, like, if I was in this niche and that was an interest of mine, would I wear this shirt? Right. So let's come back and recap to where we're at. Okay. This is really where I've spent the bulk of this video already, talking about just the concepts of designing for shirts, showing you an example and explaining what it means to design for printing, designing in layers, resolution, and then just really walking you through the concepts of combining good design and good shirt concepts, and then giving you some great examples of what it means to find a good shirt design and blend it with a good concept, which ultimately is what I define as composition. All right, it's got to be a really good design, it's got to be a really good concept, and it's got to be composed in a way that feels balanced and equal, and looks like something that people would want to wear. All right, so that question comes up again here. And then we already talked about, of course, that either you're going to be doing this or somebody else does it. All right, so again, just to finish touching up on this and where we're at, everything we've done, I'm self-taught so far. Everything we've looked at and talked about, that's all stuff that I've self-taught myself. But obviously there are designers out there that do it as well. So you don't have to self-teach yourself to do it. You can, because it's simple. Well, I shouldn't say it's simple. It's straightforward enough to learn. If you download Photoshop and look at some of the resources I'm going to share with you, you can learn how to do this over time. Or you can just outsource it. I'm going to show you a great place that you can outsource designs as well. And you can outsource it to have somebody else do it who's going to be, far and above what you want to do. Like, for example, when I was let's go to, we don't need this anymore. So when we go back to this design here. Now, a lot of the designs on my store I did do myself, but I didn't do this one because I knew what I wanted. I had found an image. So, like, I had come to Google and I had typed in typography, hustle, something like that. And I found some stuff that looked cool. And eventually, somewhere along the line, I don't remember I think I already deleted the example that I used. But eventually, somewhere along the line, in searching through all of this stuff, I found a really cool typography example of somebody that had designed letters like this. It didn't say hustle hard, stay humble. It said something completely different. But I was like, wow, that's really cool. And so I took that and said, I want to get a concept similar to this, but I want the words to say hustle hard, stay humble. Could I have done this myself? Yes. Would it have taken me a lot longer to do than the person who did it for me? Yeah, absolutely, because this is something that is not a preset font. Like, this had to be designed from scratch. Somebody had to go through and create this font and then add the embellishments to it and make sure that it all balanced and looked equal. All right, and this so far is my best-selling shirt design. Which, again, I haven't sold a ton of shirts yet, but this one seems to be like a design that I know can sell and that I can market from the early testing that I've done. And I ordered this shirt as well, actually, and I love it. But anyway, so you can see it has the balance of a good design. Everything is pretty equally distributed. There's not a lot of dead space, and it all blends together well. The places that he decided to extend the lines and connect the lines, it all goes together well and hits the concept of what I wanted it to look like to sell. All right, but I didn't design it myself because it would have taken me forever. And so that's the advantage of getting somebody else to design it. Now I own this asset and I can use it on whatever I want, on shirts, on hoodies, on posters, on canvas prints, on coffee mugs, on tote bags, like whatever I want to do, whatever I think it applies to, I can use this design and it's mine now. All right. So that's kind of the concept of walking you through understanding design for shirts and what goes into it, and then basically deciding whether you're going to do it yourself or whether you're going to hire somebody that knows what to do it. Now, when you hire somebody, you still want to keep in mind that the designs you don't want them to look cheap, all right? So going to Fiverr is probably not going to work because people that are on Fiverr, I've used Fiverr before for logos, never for a shirt design, and what I can tell you is that the quality is lower, all right? You'll get something and you'll get a design back that maybe you can work with and continually develop on your own from there. But generally on Fiverr, if you're getting a gig that only costs $5 to $10, you're not going to get a design that's really all that impressive, okay? And you want your designs to look legit, for real. I mean, would you buy a cheap looking design? I doubt it, unless it was like a concept that was really just that amazing. But I doubt it that you would, and so your customers aren't going to either. And so you want to make sure that you're getting good designs, okay? And I will share right now a place that you can do that I've used. This is not my site or anything like that, but I've found out about it. Designercash.com. All right, and I've actually vetted them. I did the $167 package. I think that actually went up a little bit from when I bought it, but I did this package and I got 5 designs, and this is one of the designs that they did. All right, and I was really happy with how that came out. And they did some of my more complicated designs, like this concept that I came up with that I haven't really tried to sell yet. Which is the Worldwide Hustle All-Star Team. Like, they came up with this design, and I was happy with the design they came up with, and I worked with them back and forth on a few different concepts to get this design ironed out. I sent them an original idea of what I had in mind for composition. So again, I didn't mean to do that. But let me open that up as a t-shirt because it's bigger. Okay, so I went back and forth with them on a few designs to get this worked out, and I like it. Again, this is a shirt that I would wear. I don't know if the concept really hits. Like when you're designing shirts, you're going to have to come up with a lot of concepts. But the design is balanced. It's very well designed between the typography. In my opinion, I mean, maybe, I'm not saying that it couldn't be improved at all, but I think it looks really good. I think it works well. I think it brings the whole composition together in a good way. And so I like this design. And again, this is another one that I got as part of that package with Designer Cash. So, they're going to work really well with what you give them and the vision that you have if you're good at describing it. But again, that's why I showed you still have to be good at describing what you want. All right. And then you can get somebody here to do professional designs for you. All right. And it's really not bad, $37 a design. I've seen a lot of people on like Warrior Forum or Upwork will charge $50 to $100 per design. So this is actually pretty good. You're getting somebody that's going to really put time and effort in, that's got talents and skills, and is also going to let you go back and forth with them on revisions until you like what it is. Okay, so this is a really great place that you can get designs done. I'm not really going to recommend anywhere else because I think this is one of the best ones to get it done. You can look on Warrior Forum and you can look on Upwork, or post within Facebook groups to see if anybody has a place that they can recommend. But as of right now, I think this is one of the best resources to use. And so this is the one that I'm recommending. But again, by any means, there's so many freelance sites. I would just stay away from Fiverr, okay? But you can go to Upwork, you can go to some of these other ones that are going to have the talents and the abilities, and also a portfolio that they'll show you in being able to get stuff designed, okay? All right, so let's move on and go back to Threads Not Dead. I'm going to share this book with you. Now, the whole thing itself is meant, like, it's written for designers, okay? So you may not be completely interested in everything, but this part here, the fundamentals of good t-shirt design, is still definitely worth sharing, okay? And I'm going to share the resource with you because it's helpful. You know, it'll help you really become knowledgeable. Now, you have to remember that it was written about 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't even know at this point, but so the ways that people sell designs, like through Facebook and Teespring and Shopify, that may have changed, but the elements of a good design has not changed at all. All right, what's popular and in pop culture and trending right now may have changed, but the elements of good design have not changed at all. All right, this is a time-tested, proven method. All right, but like where they talk about, are the clients happy? You know, you just want to think about, are the customers happy? Because you're not designing for clients, and a lot of this is based on designing for clients, the way that the book was written for artists, okay? So would you wear it? You can see it's their first question. Does it sell? All right. That obviously is going to be what we're talking about in this video, designs that sell. And that's why it was so important for me to create an entire video based on this, because, you know, a design can be popular, as they say, even if it looks amateur or cliche to you. It could still be extremely popular in the audience, all right? So a good design is a sellable design. It's not based on your opinion, all right? That's something that you need to get. If, you know, you may already understand that, but if you don't, you need to master that concept right now, okay? Your opinion does not matter. Just like in drop shipping, yeah, your opinion matters to an extent, because the more knowledgeable and experienced you get, the better your opinion will be able to pick winning designs. But ultimately, when you're getting started out and beginning, you don't want to think about your opinion. You want to be thinking about your audience's opinion. All right, and the quicker you master that, the quicker you're going to be able to zero in on designs that sell, and understand that even though the design may look stupid to you, like a lot of the designs I've looked at on Teespring, they look absolutely ridiculous to me. I would never wear them, but it doesn't matter because I'm not the audience, and the audience would wear them and they sell. So that's really what's most important there to understand. Is it cost effective? Okay, this is also true. With direct-to-garment printing, the costs are a lot cheaper than screen printing, and a lot of this, you know, is based on screen printing. But still, you know, printing a two-sided shirt or printing on American Apparel versus a cheap shirt, you know, there's things to factor in on that. Like printing yoga mats, for example, with T-Launch is not really cost effective because the yoga mats are so expensive. To be honest with you, printing on American Apparel shirts is not really all that cost effective, because I'm charging $24 a shirt. $14 to fulfill this shirt, and then a typical cost per purchase in your marketing might be $7, $8 a shirt. And so I'm looking at a $3 profit margin on these shirts. So that's why, but to me, what matters more is selling a quality shirt, all right? Because when I first was designing them on the unisex shirts that were like the lower quality, they were only $8 a shirt. I ordered one, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it fit. I didn't like the way the neck was. I didn't like the way it felt. And so I looked at it and I was like, man, you know, if I don't like wearing this shirt, I can't expect my customers to, okay? And I used to sell those shirts a lot when I was selling, you know, like through my drop shipping stores that didn't matter. But for building a brand, I want people to associate what I'm doing with quality. And so it mattered to me. Even though the margins are thinner, it mattered to me. And that's something that you have to understand about the clothing industry anyway, is that the designs are, or the margins are thin. You'll hear Damon John talk about that on Shark Tank sometimes, if, you know, when people pitch a clothing brand, is that the design, or I keep saying that the margins on your items are really thin. It's a tough business. And, you know, you may see some people out there like Thomas Barkey who have been able to do a lot of sales with t-shirts, but he rarely shares his profit margin. I've seen a lot of people post big screenshots of their t-shirts, and they rarely show their profit margin because profit margins are difficult with shirts. All right. Now, granted, yeah, if you sell $1 million worth of shirts, you're still making good money, even if your profit margin's only 20%. That's still a great profit margin. But unless you're scaling at that level, it becomes a lot more difficult to maintain, because if you're only selling $2,000 worth of a design, then you're only making $400, and that's really not all that impressive. So those are things that you want to consider, all right? And I'm just trying to give you the straight, uncut truth about what goes into this market and the challenges that you face. But no matter what, you're still focusing on designs that sell, because having a design you think is awesome that doesn't sell does absolutely no good for you. And having a shirt that's not cost effective does absolutely no good for you either. So you want to make sure you're thinking about both of those things. All right, pushing the envelope. This is a really good point. Now, I'm not saying that you have to push the envelope to sell, but nowadays on Facebook, you really do got to kind of push the envelope. Like for example, he's saying here adding foil into your design wasn't something you would have thought about 6 or 7 years ago. But that is and that's when this was written already 5 or 6 years ago. And then, foil was something that became really popular with like the Affliction brand and that whole thing. And as you can kind of look at with that example, is that allowed Affliction to become a multi-million-dollar brand because they broke the mold of what was selling in their space at the time. So if you can apply that and do the same thing with what you're doing, it's only going to help you. Facebook has a lot of people selling shirt designs. So the more you can push the envelope, the more you can be creative and come up with a new angle or a new concept, the better you're going to do, which goes out to all my Customplex people that bought Customplex. I know that I haven't really used that. And that's not because it's not a great idea. It's just simply because designs take a lot of time, and I haven't had the time to create a lot of designs lately since that first initial rush when I did some, simply because of all the things I have going on with businesses I'm trying to build, and some of my businesses have a much higher profit margin, and so it's more attractive for me to work on those. But anyway, for my Customplex people, this is a great way you can push the envelope, because you can be selling designs that are completely custom and that nobody else is doing, where your user and your customer can upload or change or edit or customize their own t-shirt live on the website, or even more than t-shirts, anything that you're able to source as a product. And so that's something that's really cool. It's popular. We understand this. You want to go around and look at the sites that sell. This has become a lot more prevalent. The Facebook likes, you can go through and see the winning designs. I've already shared the resource in the T-Spy. T-Spy will be able to show you when you go to T-Spy and you log into your account. I want to be in Google Chrome, not T-Spy, and you log into your account. Where do you log in? Maybe you just have to go here, log in. Oh, and of course, well, let's just look as a guest then. So that's why it's so, and it doesn't take me to it, but that's why it's so valuable of a tool when you have something like this, because it can show you top selling, highest engagement, most reviews on campaigns that are running, and that's just so valuable, guys. That's why I recommend T-Spy. I don't care if you use it or not, but if you want to know how to find popular shirts, then this is the way to do it right here. Because going through Facebook and trying to do it yourself could take forever, where this will just let you break it down by niche, and you can even break it down by interest and ad search and see exactly what's selling and what's getting engagement. So that's what we're talking about here by looking at shirts that are popular, because if you copy designs that are popular, again, it's going to help you break the mold of you thinking you know what's popular and just finding what's popular already and being able to use that in your own designs, in your own arsenal for things that you are creating, okay? And then finally, is the client happy? Change this to, is the customer happy? All right. Is the customer happy with the designs that they're getting? Are you getting good reviews? Are people giving you great feedback? And generally, if you're selling and it's cost effective and you're pushing the envelope and it's popular, then yeah, people are going to be happy. But again, it's just another variable that you can think about when trying to really analyze your shirts. Okay. Same thing here, pleases the audience. That's where we're talking about pleases the audience and is the idea solid. Okay, that's where we're talking about the concepts over here. All right, you want to master concepts that you know in your niche, and that's where you blend both the design with the concept. And when you get this down, then you're going to be able to please your audience with concepts that sell. How to come up with good ideas. I'm going to share this with you. I've already really shown you some places for inspiration. They'll have their own ways of inspiration here, and then how to be unique is important, okay? Being unique is something that's just going to take practice, but you can see that they already here suggest Googling metaphors, idioms, myths, fables, paradoxes, and then trying to illustrate those concepts within your design. And so that really goes right along with what we're talking about. So, being able to get a unique design comes from studying the concepts that sell first and understanding your niche, and then being able to look at these resources. We've already talked about where to find good ideas, and going out there and finding the stuff that's unique and finding ways that you can build on that and do something a little bit different, right? You don't just want to be like one of these people that say, oh, I just kind of come up with designs as they come to me. You want your designs to be based on research and case studies and finding other things out there that work, okay? Suggests putting all your ideas in one spot. That's what I do, but I don't do a notebook I just save stuff and put them right in a folder. Hustle Ideas, that's my folder there that has a bunch of ideas that I've looked at. Most of these are from the last video and that I think could work into designs. All right, and then they start talking about trends, and some of this stuff is going to be outdated, but they really kind of break down some of the different styles, like typography tees. We talk about that. This is something that's grown even more. Like they say, there was a sudden rise of minimalist t-shirts with focus on type. But this is something that has really just continued to grow. This has not gotten any smaller, it's only gotten bigger. But a lot of these trends still apply. The affliction type shirts are still popular within their own space. Streetwear and subculture, retro vintage, typography, bright colors, heavy illustration. These are all different things. And then there's techniques and tutorials. They walk you through a process. I'm going to share this entire thing with you. Just realize, I'm sharing it with you to take what you need off of it. This will help you understand the t-shirt industry. Some of it's outdated, but all of the stuff about designing and trends and understanding good design and how to create a good design, all of that stuff is still relevant, and it's all still going to help you. And then some of this printing and production stuff, you just need to realize that we've come a long way since this guide was created. They have some good stuff about branding in here, consistency. That's absolutely true. And they give some good examples of how to improve your brand and really how to get down to a science extras. So I'm going to share this with you because I don't have time to go through the whole thing with you, and you can go through this if you want to. It's a great read. It's got a lot of good stuff in it, and it's a good resource for you to have. All right, especially if you want to understand designs at a high level and build a brand based on t-shirts and designing. And then understand as well that designs can branch out more than just t-shirts, but they're just talking about t-shirts and that. And t-shirts is really the biggest medium, but all of these concepts can apply to any medium other than just t-shirts, okay? Another great resource for you is gomedia.com. All right, they just are an amazing resource to stimulate your inspiration, your creative side, and really start understanding so much about illustration and design. Again, I'm not trying to teach you guys to be graphic designers, but if you are really serious about this business and you're really serious about creating a brand design, then it's worth it for you to look at. Sure, there may be somebody out there who's never looked at a website like this, and they're selling shirts, and I'm not saying that's not possible, but chances are they probably have some resource that they're going to that helps them become creative, that helps stimulate their inspiration and motivate them. And you don't have to come here to learn how to be a designer. You can come here to learn how to be a designer if you want to, or you can come here to find people that will help you design the stuff that you need, or you can just come here and look at the portfolio and look at the blog and get some ideas of what you want to do. You can also come here and get mock-ups. They sell mock-up downloads, and then ones that you can buy, and then they they have resources, inspiration. Like, there's so much here that you can go through and look at that can really help you when you are trying to build a brand based on design. All right. Some other things, I'm going to put all these resources. These are all part of Go Media as well, except for this last one, but they're just more specific stuff. Some inspirational sites from 7 really good designers. Some of them may be shut down now, like this one. I knew MT's was shut down, but Mint Tees, it pushes you to them. Like, just places that you can go see good designs. There are a lot of really talented people out there that know what they're doing. A lot of these people just don't know how to market themselves or build a brand, but that doesn't mean that you can't go out there and not necessarily, you can network, you can forge relationships, you can find designers to work with, and you can also just find really good stuff that can help you on your path of understanding, because you understand, and I'm teaching you through these courses, the marketing methods. So when you find people that are really good at what they do, you can go get the inspiration and understand this side of it, and then bring that to your marketing and your brand, and it can really help you become a powerhouse, honestly. Okay, so this is 57 inspirational sites just for ideas. I've already shown you Design by Humans, which is one of the best ones I think you can look at. This is one that's t-shirt design tutorials that will help you just understand and become good at designing different types of t-shirts. Again, not all of it may apply, but a lot of it may apply. And then 8 elements of composition and art. This is just something I'm sharing because I think that it's really good to help you understand what goes into a good design. I don't care if you have no aspirations of ever being an artist. If you want to sell designs that sell, regardless of whether you're designing them or not, you need to understand composition at some level, okay? And so you can see I already talked about balance and unity a lot. Focus and contrast, so important. Rhythm I didn't really talk about. Movement I didn't really talk about. But focus and contrast are like some of the underlying things I didn't necessarily specifically call out, but that you can see. Like, contrast, an example of that is between small letters to large letters, all right? Or if you look at, like if we go back to that fishing one, where was it? Like, this is contrast. Really good contrast between the colors, the design, the outline. Like, that is all contrast that goes in there. Movement, you can see like the movement in the fishing line here, the way it's designed, and the fish is grabbing onto it. Focus, where the viewer's eye is ultimately going to rest, the focal point. That's why, like, you make the word fishing big in the middle here. But that makes a big difference in design, actually. We looked at some things like that where we talked about certain words that they emphasize and make bigger. That's the focal point, and that's the first thing that a person sees. And based on the first thing the person sees, and the focal point could be the difference between a winning shirt and a shirt that is a cool design but doesn't necessarily sell. All right, so, and then proportion we talked about a lot as well, making sure it's in proportion and balanced. A lot of this stuff just goes together, but these are really good to understand. And so I'm sharing this as well, just a free resource for you to be able to use and get better at understanding all of this. All right, so coming back to the list here, some last notes that I want to finish up on. A lot of this we kind of already covered in going through what I went through. This is important. Types of actual designs, like getting into mechanics. Dark color shirts with light color print sell a lot better than white shirts, okay? And I know that I wondered that when I was getting started out. And so let's just clarify the mystery. Yes, dark color shirts sell a lot better than white color shirts, and that's just the way it is. You can still sell white shirts. I'm not saying you can't. Like that 10x Your Hustle one on my store, I've definitely sold some copies of. But if you look out there at most of the popular best-selling shirts, just look at here as an example. You don't even see one white shirt on this page. So, like most of the best-selling stuff out there, black is really popular, dark blue, pink for girls, but it can be anything, really. It's just that white shirts are not as popular and they're more difficult to sell. So that's not to say that you can't sell one. If you come up with a really good design and a good concept, white shirts can definitely sell. It's just I think most people have that concept of they're afraid it's going to get dirty real quick, and then they're not going to be able to wear it. That's kind of the problem with a white shirt, is that, certain audiences will respond to that better than others. Like the hip hop community, for example, white tees are very popular. White tees with big bold print. The sports community as well, white tees with big bold print can be very popular. But, you're going to have to figure that out by looking at your niche and deciding what's popular. Master Shirts designs that sell. I just shared a ton of resources for you to be able to do that. Shirts don't sell because of either design or concept. They sell because of both. We talked about that in depth, all right? And a way that you can help understand is if you're getting lots of engagement but no sales, then you probably have a good concept but a poor design. If you're getting no engagement, then you have a poor concept and or a poor design. You have to figure out which one it is. But if you're getting no engagement at all, then the people are just not connecting with your concept, or your design is so bad that it's just not even something people are entertaining. So, but if you are, these are important to understand, because if you are, a lot of people might be here. You're getting lots of engagement, but you're not making sales on your designs. And I know what that's like, especially when I got started. This is probably one of the biggest barriers to entry in the t-shirt world, is you're getting lots of engagement, but no sales. And that means you're getting good at figuring out concepts that sell, but your design is not good enough to be something that people want to wear, all right? And so you need to start mastering designs that sell, because it's both the design and the concept. And I think we did a really good job of covering that, hopefully, for you guys. Less colors, better margin. This isn't necessarily always true with direct-to-garment printers, but it is definitely true that one color prints and one color designs are going to, in general, make you the most money. And one-sided prints, I mean. Like if you add prints on the front and the back, then your cost goes up. So most direct-to-garment printers, regardless of the color amount in the print, will still be the same price. Then they just charge you per side. But if you're screen printing, then the more colors you have, the more colors you have, the more expensive it's going to be, because screen printing is done in layers, so they need to create a new screen for each color layer. So just keep that in mind. Two-sided prints are more expensive, and then of course all over prints are more expensive. That's becoming something really popular, where you just take a shirt and an all over print looks like this. In case you don't know, a lot of you may know already, but an all over print shirt, what we're referring to with that are shirts like this that have a design that's printed over the entire thing. These shirts are much more expensive, obviously, as you can probably understand, and your customers are going to understand that as well. So, you're probably going to have to charge $10 more per shirt when it comes to something like this, because your screen printer is going to be charging you a lot, or not your screen printer, but your fulfillment company is going to be charging you a lot more. Let's look at an example with T-Launch. All over print tee, you only have one option. They're $15. Oh, you know what? That's actually not terrible. Your image file's got to be huge, so you have to recognize this, because you have to give them a file size large enough to print the entire shirt. It needs to be a massive, massive file. I don't even know if I have any files that big right now. The only one I could think of maybe would be this, but I don't even know if that's big enough. No. So yeah, you would need to have a massive file. And again, that would just come down to letting your designer know these specs or setting up your image in Photoshop to be that big. So 4400 by 3500, where I would set that up is here. But now I want to show you something important. I'm not going to do I'm just going to do 150 resolution. All right, so what I want to show you here is they'll zoom out. Like, that may not look like a larger canvas size than this one, but you can see it's only at 16.7%, where that's at 33%. So now if I place an image on here, say I just wanted to create this as a shirt, all right? You can see I'm going to have to stretch it out a lot bigger. And based on the size of the original file, this may become a little bit more blurry or pixelated. Now, it doesn't look terrible, actually. You can always increase by doing a little contrast and brightness. That's a way to compensate for a picture that might be a little bit stretched, because it crispens it up a little bit. I always do brightness and contrast anyway. Alright, and then you would save that same thing as a PNG file. And then you'd upload your image. Didn't save yet. But the point is here that for an all-over print, it's more expensive. So 15 actually isn't as bad as I thought it was. That means I could charge all over print shirts for literally only $1 more. Now the perceived value is higher, so I could probably charge a t-shirt with an all over print for $30 would be my guess, $29 or $30. All right, and then you see it when you have it now, more than just T-Launch does all over prints, but the concept is you need a large enough image, and then there you go, you get your mock-up. So it'll show you exactly where that print size will be, and then you'll get your mock-up that's actually printing. And that's actually kind of a cool shirt. I would wear that. Without the Ecom Empires, I think just as a design, that's pretty cool. Anyway, all right, listen, that's enough. This video has already gone on long enough. There is a lot of information in here, guys, and if you follow this, again, I'm giving you what works because I've studied this for so long, and I'm passing along the resources that I know will help make you a competent and talented designer, or a competent and talented seller of designs, which ultimately, however you want to do it, you know, the ultimate goal is to be able to sell designs. And there's work that goes into it. Don't let anybody out there make you think that there's so many people out there that try to sell these t-shirt courses and act like it's just a matter of creating a bunch of designs and testing them. And yeah, you do want to create a bunch of designs and test them, but far too many people leave out the understanding that you need to have of design, and they just focus on the concept of what you need to, you know, focus on the winning concepts, which again is important. But now you know why so many people go through these t-shirt courses and they come out of the other side and they don't end up being all that successful, because at some level, you need to understand the rest of what I went through in this video. So I really hope that you got a lot of value out of this. I really hope that you know, if you're dedicated to building a brand and building a t-shirt brand especially, or any kind of custom merchandise print on demand type of store, that you really go through these resources here and take the time to educate yourself as to what's going to help you be a powerhouse in this industry. All right, so that's everything that I have. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. Until then, have an amazing day wherever you are in the world. Talk to you later. Live free.